Hello everyone, Will the Outlaw here, and today we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Age of the Primes, Alchemist Prime. Alchemist Prime is one of those characters that has just an interesting story off-screen as he does on. I remember when I first started getting into the expanded universe way back in the late 2000s and reading about McAdam's old oil house and how the mysterious owner was rumored to be one of the original 13 Transformers. I found this narrative so dang interesting, and it drew me in further into the mythos after I started collecting again in 07. I don't really know a lot about Alchemist's actual character, but from what I can gather, he seems to be kind of like the scientist or chemist of the 13. He's a great warrior, but he prefers to use his unlimited knowledge to solve problems by any other means, which is probably why he ended up opening the oldest bar on Cybertron. Taking a look at the figure itself, and this guy totally looks like a British boxer brute from the early 1900s. In fact, he totally reminds me of Gaetan Moliere from Atlantis: The Lost Empire. Yeah, good luck on seeing that. That's not a bad thing though, as he honestly has the most character and unique look out of all his other Prime siblings. While his shape and overall aesthetic is pretty standard, the steampunk twist goes a long way in making him stand out more than most. His legs are thick and give off a strong ancient robot vibe, while the details on his arms and especially his torso look more like an ancient robot straight out of a Jules Verne novel. In fact, the more I think about it, he reminds me of TikTok from Return to Oz more than he does Mold from the Atlantis movies. Maybe that's why I love his design so much. Speaking of design, his head sculpt is a real winner of this figure. I absolutely love how retro and on character it is. The face alone is done perfectly with the facial hair done in an old-timey sci-fi design, being topped off with eyes that look like he's either going to give a lecture or lead an expedition to the center of the earth. Either way, this is by far the best head sculpt of all the Primes so far. This guy is built like his name should be Wide Load, but he is surprisingly mobile and agile. Ball-jointed head with a wide range, shoulders that can go forward, back, and out, bicep swivel, 90 elbows, no wrist swivel, but they can go in and out due to transformation, waist swivel, legs that can go forward, back, and out, 90 knees, and an ankle tilt. The fact that this figure is so clean with almost zero kibble, along with all its tight joints, makes this figure one of the best posing and visually interesting figures in the current lineup. It's almost as if the designers wanted Alchemist to be able to fit with not only other Transformer figures, but maybe other sci-fi steampunk figures and characters as well. Alchemist's only accessories are his lens blades. They are made from clear plastic and are themselves very steampunk-like, with tons of circular, mechanical, and wiring detail all over the sculpt. Aside from Alchemist's Prime logo, there is no paint on this thing, which means that all the detail can get lost in the sculpt, but that doesn't make this piece any less impressive. Despite their simplicity, they are surprisingly dynamic, with them being able to be wielded separately as blades, or you can combine them like this to form what is being called goggles. I don't know if I would call them goggles. I much prefer to think of them as some kind of power shield that can either reflect or amplify blasts. Another cool feature is that you can even place them on various ports around his arms to make wrist or arm mounted shields or arm blades. Yeah, this guy really fits in with the whole don't judge a book by its cover crowd. Transformation is very simple. It takes a lot of cues from previous Van molds like Ironhide. The head folds into the chest and the arms fold back, while the legs open up and cover the arms around the top and back. Everything moves and snaps into place well enough, but this arm for some reason likes to pop off. It goes right back on since it's only a clamp joint, but still annoying. The vehicle mode is, for lack of a better term, boring. I don't know how it can be that the Primes have such awesome and interesting robot modes and such boring vehicle modes. I mean, with the exception of Megatronus and Star Convoy, these vehicles look way too Earth style and bland and not enough ancient space vehicle. Well, the vehicle mode we do get is very reminiscent of Hound or Bulkhead. In fact, I'm kind of surprised they went with an original mold here instead of redoing Hound or Bulkhead. The vehicle mode is very militaristic and utilitarian, and the details and colors do a great job of breaking themselves up. The molded details really make this mode pop and gives a boring shape a little depth. The lenses can be placed here on top of the vehicle. You would think that with all the options in robot mode, you would have around the same amount in this mode, but you'd be wrong. They do look cool in this configuration though. I remember seeing early leaks of this guy and thinking how much I wanted this one. In fact, it was one of my most anticipated figures due to the character and face sculpt alone. Having it in hand, it has seriously exceeded my expectations in regards to feel, posability, and overall fun factor. This is one of those toys that may not look like much, but it's a serious blast to handle. His stubby, wide frame and multitude of tight, wide-range joints make this guy a proud member of my desk collection. All in all, while this figure comes up a little short compared to his prime brethren, he's still a pretty fun toy, and I think he's right up there in fun factor with Devastation Prime. Small, posable, and fun to transform. Bottom line, whether you are collecting the entire 13 Prime lineup or are simply looking for a fun toy, this one is a decent, well worth it pickup. Well, that was my look at Transformers Age of the Primes Alchemist Prime. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see y'all soon.
Laters!
Check out my Patreon for early access to my videos and shoutouts on future videos. Join up and let's talk toys.